You are 70 years old, and I would like you to live for 70 more years on this planet.
But when it's someone you know, it shouldn't be as hard that you can't give them a few minutes every once in a while. You're over near them anyway.
And it made me scared from inside. That much scared that I could not ride a bike until I was
Hmm.
26, 28, I think. I was so much scared of the roads because of that little incident.
You have to care. You just have to care about someone more than yourself.
Hello, dear fellas. Welcome to Side Hustle. We often talk about things like business, self development, self help, but there is something that we least talk about, which is mental health. If we won't take care of our this multi-million dollar machine, the rest of the stuff will go wrong. Your business will be affected, your body will be affected, your relationship will be affected. The guest that I have with me, I won't say that she's an expert in all this, but she's been through all these things all of her life. Please, everybody, welcome Miss Kelleen Dawson. Kelleen, how are you?
I am fine, thank you. How are you this
Okay,
evening?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. So, Kelleen, I would like you to introduce to my audience yourself. Who is Kelleen Dawson?
I am a survivor of a lifetime of mental illness until I finally came out of it with hope and a new future. But it was a lifelong struggle, many, many, many years. And I learned a lot. And I'd like to share some of the things that I learned so people would understand that mental illness is real. It is a
Okay.
real illness. And the sad thing is, with the stigma around it, a lot of people won't
Mm.
go and get help. Also, it keeps things from growing and learning. And until the internet came aboard, it was really tough, really tough. You couldn't even talk about it and made life miserable if you suffered. So you lived in your own little world in your mind and you fought by yourself. So what how I look at myself as a survivor.
You are a survivor, right? So, what's your age, and at what point you started feeling that there is something wrong with
What is my age now?
What is
I
your age now, and what was the year when you started feeling that there is something unnatural going on? Yeah,
okay. Right now, last week I turned 70, and I
that's
was, yeah, I did. I made it. uh, I feel good about that. I'm still here, and with a lot of stuff I've been through, hey, that's accomplishment. But in all seriousness, it started around 13, and at first it just started with some real moodiness and not wanting to do things, just not right. Something was wrong, but not serious yet, but it was there. It was always there in the
okay.
background. So, and then my mother was one of those that kept us so busy you didn't have time to think, actually, and that's true. She really did. So, after in my teens, in my early 20s is when it started having more effect. Um, Basically, started feeling uncomfortable at jobs, almost like a paranoia. Like I always thought people were out to get you, and it's because I really couldn't talk. But the other part was the sadness started. First, it started with SAD. That's the winter kind of blues when the skies are gray. That's how it first
Mm.
started. After that, then the anxiety came in as toward my end of my 20s. And it just built, it just built every, I guess every year, it was just worse and worse and worse. And I didn't know what was going on. I really didn't have a clue. I just knew something was wrong. So by 34, I can say that's when all hell broke out for real. Within a year, I was a basket case. I mean, a true basket case. And what I understand now what happened, but I didn't at the time. And
Okay.
it made life hard, so hard that I began fighting what I call the illness, the real illness, and that's in your mind. And
Yeah.
they said, well, it's all in your mind. It really is. It's all in your mind.
It really is. It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. If you
But
can win the battle here, the rest of the stuff becomes quite easy. Yeah.
problem
So,
is some battles are worse than others.
yeah. So, Kareem, we will gradually move towards the story. But
Okay.
starting from the year when you were 13, that's the exact time when a girl hits puberty, right?
Exact.
So, I
That's why
expect
I
that
was
you might have discussed all that stuff with your siblings or with your parents that there are some mood swings or there I do not feel like doing work, something like that, and they might have associated all those things with the puberty. Maybe you will tell me if that happened with you. So did you discuss all that stuff with any of your siblings or parents, and
nobody.
what was their response at that time? Nobody. Why is it?
I didn't have any sisters. I just have one
Okay.
brother. Okay,
Okay.
very small. I'm a year older than him. And
Okay.
my mother was very strict, and I mean extreme. And she would
Oh.
just put me to work. She was actually, I hate to say this, but overly. Okay, we'll leave it at that. And so talking to her to something like this, she said, "Oh, it's just in your head. You could get up and do something. I'll just put you busy. That'll solve that." So she never understood till ever. I never could really talk to her. I never got support from home. I never got support from family because nobody would talk about it. And you know what's sad? A lot of people in my family um, had mental illness, but they wouldn't get help. And they was, I'm not crazy. That's the way they thought. I was one of the few that said, no, I want to know. I'm just that
Mhm.
stubborn. I don't want to live like this if I don't have to. And so you have to start your searching. And
Mhm.
it just gets worse the older you get, the longer you wait for treatment. That's why I always tell people get treatment as soon as it starts. Don't wait. It's just worse. You might be able to eliminate a lot of it early. I
Mhm.
wish I could
But
have found it.
yeah, but I think we should not be annoyed from our parents because they also had this limited knowledge. There was no internet. There was
Right.
no education about all that stuff. So
Hmm.
I think one should never ever hold grudge to them. You see, there is always a generation gap. Still, I am a millennial, and I feel that whatever I am thinking, my thinking doesn't match with my father and mother. And I'm ready for this. That even my daughter and my son, they are not going to develop 100% conformance with whatever I am thinking, right? Would you agree with that? So I think that was
Yes,
the difference.
it's
Yes.
it's true. It's just I had nobody, but one exception. My father, my
Okay, he
father
understood
and I
you.
were close. Pardon? Sorry.
He understood you.
Yes, because I was just like him,
Okay.
but he didn't have. He had OCD. That was it. But other than our personalities, what we liked, we would spend hours. We loved movies and discussing all kinds of history. That was
Okay.
what we really shared. And
Okay.
he was very, he helped in his own way. Maybe not direct, but he really did. So he was extraordinary.
Okay. So before moving to any medical help, did you try to manage all these things yourself, like developing some sort of hobbies? Did you try doing some sort of painting, sketching, or anything? Book reading is a very good redemption from all that stuff. Did you try anything to get rid of all that stuff on your own?
Okay, well, didn't know all about that back then. Okay, that it really would help. But I did love going to movies. That was my escape. That's
Okay.
better than other stuff. Just
Okay.
wasn't really.
Movies of 60s and 70s, right? Right.
Pardon? Movies about
Movies
what?
from six movies from 60s or 70s.
60s,
Yeah.
70s, 80s, 90s,
Oh.
2000s. I
you
mean,
are you are literally holding an era within yourself, right?
yeah, I mean, my dad and I would go to the movies. I never liked to
Okay.
go to movies with anyone but him. Here's
Okay.
why.
Okay.
'Cause
Okay.
we always challenge each
Right.
other.
Right. So I have read your book. I don't know what's wrong. That's the title of your book. And you have discussed personal challenges like homelessness, mental illness. So how this homelessness came with the mental illness? How you became homeless and all that future?
Well, the homelessness came in 2011, where I start my book, and that was
Okay.
because the government and the banks, and it affected a
Mhm.
lot of homeowners nationwide, not just me, and a lot of people lost their home. So technically, I was homeless, didn't have a home
Okay. Okay.
technically, but because of my job, the type job I have,
Okay.
I could I was a traveling sales lady. Yes, I really was. I did it for 12 years, and I went from city to city every summer for like 6 months. And during the rest of the year, I would be closer to home. But in that, I stayed from one hotel to the next free for 8 months while I decided what I was going to do with my life. And that was how I kept a roof over myself, made money on the road. That's how we survived. So I was lucky. Yes, technically I was, but I had a way to live. And then I decided to move in with my brother. And my brother said, "Come and live with me, sis." Okay, but you have to know
Okay.
something. He is
Yeah.
bipolar. And I move in and
Oh,
I'm depressed, and depression and anxiety. Oh, that was fun. That was fun.
bipolar, um, depression and
Yes.
anxiety. That
Oh,
that would have been fun. Would have
it
been a
was
fun
fun.
ride.
No, it actually, I understood a lot of different things because
Uh,
I did a lot of
okay.
research. You have to
Okay.
understand your illness if you want to fight it. And
Okay.
I always did a lot, even before the internet. I would try to find anything I could on it. And that's what helped me understand some of it. It just wasn't
Okay.
fun. But
Okay.
moving him, that was fun.
Okay. So, since you have said, Ms. Dawson, that your brother was affected with bipolar disorder, and you said
Mhm.
your father was also like you. So, do you feel
OCD.
there was some OCD? Yes, if I got it right. So, do you feel that there was something genetically going on? And have you found any glimpse of all that stuff in your daughter or son, if you have one? I don't know.
Grandson. Grandson.
Grandson.
But
Great. So,
luckily, because of
yeah,
my thing, my
yeah.
daughter and I, we jumped on it. We didn't let him get
Mm,
by for a moment, and he's doing fine. Because I mean,
okay,
I saw it, and I told my daughter, I said, "It's there, trust me." And
okay,
boom, we worked on it real
okay.
quick. Help, get help. That's why I really preach that. It can really help you get through it and not get so bad because you understand it.
Right,
That helps.
right.
Hmm. Yeah.
Because there is something called generational trauma that goes on and on. I have uh, seen this in a lot of different movies that there is something like that, and I'm seeing this
Runs in
as a real
families.
example in, yeah, in a real example in your form. Okay, so what actually motivated you to get your story in the form of a book? So, do you have this
Okay.
innate talent of writing all that stuff, or did you just came
I
upon your
taught
own? Then let's just do it. Yeah.
very much the latter. But during
Okay.
my traveling, I went to small
Okay.
towns, and I would almost meet a woman in almost every town. And I never went out looking for them. They just happened to find me, or God. I really believe that. But I didn't never, you can't walk to, do you need help? You can't. It's just one of those things where you sit down, they sit down. I'm easy to talk to, and I can take a look at them and go, oh, I know when to look at them. That stare, the trying to hide behind a mask. Well, if you suffered with it for so many years, you spot it. You can spot it quick who's covering up, and because you've done it. So I helped a lot of women. I only mentioned a few in the book because they would go on and on forever, but I mentioned some of the more important situations that were special, I guess, or moments. And everybody I helped kept telling me, "You need to write a book. You need to write a book." Or Kalleen, write a book. Write the book. Tell people what you helped me with. Tell them how you did it. And that, and I said, "Well, why?" Because everybody was saying it, even doctors, even strangers I would meet and help, they would tell me all the same thing. You need to write a book. And I would start asking, why? Why me? And they said, because you have a way of explaining something
Expressing this. Yeah.
that you can grasp quickly what it is, the difference of regular depression versus mental depression. And it helped
Right.
them. It helped them.
Right. 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 Right.
So I
I
promised I would.
recently
I
I
did.
recently read a book. I recently read a book which was called Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus. Maybe you've also read that.
I haven't read
It
it, but I've heard of it.
okay, you've heard it's a very famous book. So it explained a very different the major difference between the men and women. Whenever men get depressed, we go into a silent mode. We do not want to talk anything with anybody else. But if women get into depression when he is annoyed of something, something is disturbing her, she actually wants to talk about it. She needs some talking buddy with her, maybe in the form of a husband, maybe in the form of a sibling, whatever it is. And if she could not find anything, then there is something. Your general, you can write your own general, whatever it is, spit it on a piece of paper, or just record a video. In the modern times, if you are feeling that something, if you're holding something within yourself, just put it out. So I think this was something which helped you getting relief,
Mm.
right?
Writing the book was therapy, really.
Therapy, right, right,
Yes, it helped me understand myself even better. And then it also was scary because I had forgotten
really,
because it been a few years. Yes, it had been a few years
okay,
since I had gotten well. Okay. And really normal again, where if you're sad, there's a reason, not that you don't have a reason. And
mm-hmm.
I I had forgotten. So I'm going like, how can I remember the depth of it? I could touch the
Yeah,
surface.
it's been 50 years, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
some of
right.
it. But
Yeah.
trauma has a funny thing. It puts it right there forever. It really does. It never goes away. You can go back. I can go back and be that 13-year-old, that 7-year-old, the 34-year-old. Oh, that's like really like yesterday. But the whole point of it was that it kind of helped, but I couldn't feel the depth of it. So what I did, I started writing and I couldn't write. It just wasn't there. So I took and went off my medicine for 2 days. Okay. My medicine was so time perfect. Wasn't over, wasn't under. It was like
Mm.
days. I start feeling, I go, oh my God, no, 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 no. Where's that medicine? I'm not going there again. And I would get back on my medicine, but I had just enough, like I'd go, oh my God, how I had put that away, dealt with it. And then just that little taste, it would sometimes take a while before I could do that again. So I would write while it was fresh because it would eventually, leave. It didn't make me depressed. It was just a little upsetting, some of it. So
Mm.
then I decided, you write, you leave it alone. You write, you leave it alone. It took a long time. That way I could
Mm.
be rational when I'm writing. I could remember the depth of it. And every once in a while I would go like 2 or 3 days and then I'd be right back on it. I mean, oh,
Mm.
it was like, oh, thank God, they finally found what I needed. Uh, but it made me realize something that it was
Mm.
real. It was real. It wasn't no
Mm.
dream. It wasn't
Mm.
anything. It wasn't like,
Mm.
I just don't want to do anything and I'll just act like this. Trust me,
Mm.
you don't. You want to know. And that's the name of my
Mm.
book. What's wrong? I don't know. You get
I don't.
asked 20 million times all the time. Well, what's wrong? I don't
Mm.
know. That's
I
the
don't know.
illness. I don't
That's the
know.
business.
And
You don't know what you've been going through. I don't know. Yeah.
it's like they say, well, what's bothering you? But now I could have something like regular depression about something. Oh, I could tell
Mm.
you, go get help, everything. But
Yeah.
I can have both at the same time. You really can. So you get help for that one because you can talk about it. You can go
Mm.
and see a doctor. You can talk to your priest or pastor. You can talk to
Mm.
your family,
Mm.
friends, and you can figure it out yourself, you know.
Yeah.
But Okay, I finish it. I solve the problem. Then I'm back to, well, what's wrong? I don't know. Yeah, you can't talk about it. How can you talk about it if you don't know? So you're not
Right.
lying
Very right.
when you say that.
Very right. Very right. So I have read your book, Miss Kalleen, and it was very engaging, to tell you the truth. You could have expressed your thoughts like this so and so things happened with me, but you took a very creative route. Why is it a fiction?
It's fiction only because I don't, no name of the book, not one is real name, not even mine.
Yeah,
You noticed when you read the book, it was my mother, my father, my brother.
yeah,
Okay, I
yeah,
never said names if
yeah,
I didn't have to. The people that I
yeah.
helped, they were all made up names, but the what happened is true. Well, you can't have a nonfiction if you don't have names and dates and places and all of that to back it up. So, and that
Hmm,
really, honestly, was not really the book. The book was the
hmm,
subtitle. What is it like to live with mental illness? Turn the page for a glimpse. So I give you glimpses of my life at different ages, different times. I wanted you to feel what I felt. And most people tell me they can put themselves somewhere in my story and really feel what I'm saying. Uh, I don't need to spend pages and pages to tell you something important. You could do that in a page, but you get enough that if you need to, you can insert yourself. That's why it's so
right.
emotional and deep. So you could, if you relate to something. And that's what people told me that they've done when they'll read this part or that part. They go, I know what that feels like, but this is new, but I know what that feels like. Or they've never been sick and they go, whoa, wait a minute. I don't ever hope I feel that. Problem is, it can happen to anyone, any age, doesn't matter if you're a man, a woman, a child, old. It really doesn't
Without
matter.
any reason. Without
Without
any
a
reason.
reason, because it's a brain thing. It's your brain not working
But
right.
but Miss Killing, I'm being very, I'm not want to be very naive, but there has to be some triggers, no? There has to be some triggers. Something has to
Yeah,
pop up.
traumatic
There has to be
usually.
some starting point of this. Maybe
Mhm.
you could not identify it, even if that was at the age of 13, but there has to be some triggering point. No?
The trigger
Something,
point for me
there
that
should
I
be a
found
trigger.
out later when I found out what was wrong was I was 7.
Okay,
It was
what was that?
7.
If you want
Well,
to share,
I
if
don't
that is
really
not that
want
much
to share that
personal,
because it'll give away the whole impact of the book if I give the what it was.
okay, okay,
Okay, but
okay,
I
okay,
do in
okay.
the book, I do explain it very thoroughly what it really was and why and everything. So you understand, then you go back and you go, okay, I get it. Why this, that. And I do that because everybody's journey is different, but similar. And I didn't know until I was 60 that it started at 7. I always thought it started around 13, 14. So it was already there. And it just developed slowly at first until the first from 13 to 34, it was slow development. And then in my 20s, it started picking up speed. And then the 30s, 34, it was like one day it just went like, what happened to my life?
Right, right,
One day,
right, right,
a moment of everything coming up and an explosion. I was like,
right.
what is happening? Don't know. And then I couldn't go to the doctor. They'll give you a sedative. Here, take these, go home, be drugged up, go sleep. No, I wanted to
Right,
know.
right,
So I
right,
made a promise to
right,
myself when I was 34. I said, I will not stop looking until I find out what is wrong with me.
what
I
is
will
wrong?
fight until the last breath. I
Great,
had to
great.
know. And that's what kept me going. I had to know.
And
No,
and you're
if,
still fighting. Great,
no, not
with great
really.
courage.
I found out.
But you have defeated that. You defeated that. You
Oh,
defeated
yeah,
that.
totally.
Yeah, totally,
Totally.
totally, totally.
When I
But
found out, it's like when you find out what's really causing it, and you know that's what it is because it all makes sense medically and mentally, it is like, why couldn't I just known that? I could have done this and that, but I couldn't get help because it wasn't around. It wasn't even acknowledged as a problem. Mental illness was.
Hmm.
Those that were schizo or seriously, really bad for be around people, they were put away in hospitals and forgotten about, drugged up, because nobody really knew. They just thought they were crazy. So that's how I look at it. If you're just throwing people in a hospital and you're drugging them up, what are you doing? You're
Hmm.
housing them. You're not helping. And I wasn't that by no means, but there was nowhere to go for people like me that if we could have got help, it could have made a big difference. Like today, there's no reason. It's everywhere. There's still some stigma. It's getting better, but you can get help in so many ways that on my website and on the in the book, I even have things that I researched to help people that say, I don't have money. Well, you could go to this site and it has offers this. You could go to this site and it'll give you comfort and it doesn't cost much or nothing. Okay. There are programs out there. If you look, really look, there are programs you can do for little or nothing because it doesn't
Right.
matter if you're rich or poor. It hits everyone, anyone. It doesn't matter where you come from. And so I did that research while I was writing and while I was building my website to promote. And then I did the research for all the numbers for suicide, for even international. Even though I live in the United States, I wanted the whole world to have a way to find. I take that very serious because one time I heard an
Hmm.
8-year-old committed suicide, an 8-year-old. And most countries still don't even recognize it as a disorder. It's sad.
Right.
So I thought, well, if anybody ever lands on my site and they need help, it's there.
Yeah, I've seen that the part three of your book, you have shared
It's what
all
it
the
is.
contact numbers that if anybody needs any sort of help. And surprisingly, even my country was mentioned in that. If anybody needs any help, they can simply call Miss Kelleen, and she would definitely get you out of that phase of killing yourself, which is extremely
It's
very bad.
well, a lot of people ask me, how did I not? Because so many years. And I said, well, problem is I'm very
But
stubborn.
you might have thought about it many times, right?
Yes, I did. I wrote a chapter on it,
Yeah. Hmm.
how I prevented it. I made a plan within a plan within a plan. And after I did that, I never thought about it again because I already had a plan. It's just the way my
But
brain works. If I
how is that? Don't leave it in that abstract way. Let's just make
Okay,
it very tangible.
here's what I did.
What is this plan within a plan within a plan?
Yeah,
How
I'll
one
tell
should
you.
manage this urge of
I will
killing
tell
oneself? Yeah, yeah.
you. Okay. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I was going through a divorce. I was going through the middle of life that women go through. I was going through migraines from something. I was depressed, anxiety, everything at once. And I was losing it. I mean, come on, you lose it after everything. So I thought, then I always had like two sides to my illness. It'd be one that was bad, then the other one was worse. And it was about 3 weeks each, give or take a little. And I was still in the good of the bad, the too bad. So I decided while I was there, make a plan, protect myself.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
I sat down and I thought, now, Sharon, be real. What would you do? Would you do
Hmm.
a knife? Would you do anything like that? No, nah. Most people, if you're not really bad, will just take sleeping medicine or some kind of drug they'll die. Okay. And I thought, now let's be real here. If you get a bad night, here's how it really is. I didn't put this in the book, but it's really true. When you get a depressed moment and you're already depressed and it's worse, you're not
Hmm.
going to take showers. You're not going to take baths. You're lucky to get out of bed. Really, it can get that
Hmm.
bad. And so I figured, now, if I went through my apartment and I just got rid of all excessive anything that I don't take
Hmm.
or don't need to be taking, I got rid of that. Then I thought, well, that's still not safe at that time in the 90s or right around that 2000, you could still, if you've been a patient with a doctor for a
Hmm.
long time, not
Yeah.
new, but which I had, you could call in. And if it met what you were talking about, they would give you a prescription. not a big one, a little one. Well, certain medicines mixed with other medicines can make you do what you want to do. So what I
Hmm.
did, I called the doctor's office, two of them that I would talk to. I said, "Would you please put on my chart, do not give out prescriptions unless I come in person." I
Hmm.
said, right on page one. Well,
Hmm.
Miss Dawson, why do you want to do that? We've never had any problems. I said, "Oh, those medicines are really, really, really strong. They were.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
And I want to make sure I take them right because I don't want anything to happen, and I'm really having a bad time. I don't want to take this chance." And they go, "Well, okay, we'll put it there, if that's what you want." I said, "I really want you to make me come in." And they said, "Okay." Now, so why did I do that? Because you could get in this mood, you learn how to lie. Oh, you get good at lying when you're sick. Okay. And about anything at work, everywhere. So, and I knew I could call them and make up something. I knew what to make up. I was living it. So
Hmm.
I said, "No, you can't make that easy." Then I thought about it. That's what you would do, Sharon. Okay. Are you really going to get up at night when you're really bad, get dressed because you look like a mess? You're going to have to take a shower. Everybody's going to look like you're a bum. Uh, so you're going to get up, take a shower, get dressed, go get in your car, start it up, drive to a pharmacy, get the prescription that you could overtake, right? And then you're going to drive back home, going to get undressed, put on your pajamas, and go to bed to die. No, you'll get out of bed and you'll go, forget it. You just won't do it. I'm serious. You
You
just
just
won't
avoid
do
it.
it.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you're that bad, you're lucky to get up to eat sometimes. I mean,
Right.
really.
Right.
So
Right. Right.
I thought that's a plan within a plan.
Plan within a plan within a plan.
Yeah. And the chapter is called The Plan. And
Yeah.
it is, well, it made the most sense. So since that time, I have never, ever thought about it seriously after that one day.
Hmm.
It
Yeah.
works for me. And it's just that I thought about it because I said, think about it now. Things are not as bad as they're going to be in a little while. Figure it out. You got a week, maybe a little longer. You never know exactly when things would go back and forth. And so I jumped on it. That's how I protected myself. Isn't that something that you got to do something
That,
like that to?
that's
But at
great.
least I did it in before it got any worse. And then I stopped. I just said, well, what else is new? Get in line. Really. Get in line with everybody else, and we got to go forward. You're not going to get me.
That's it.
I got to find out what's wrong. That was my real, what kept me
Right.
going. I wanted to know. I didn't care. I wanted to know.
Right. Right. Pretty interesting story, though. I think that Christopher Nolan could get a new script for his movie from this. He had this dream within a dream within a dream, and you have this plan within a plan within a plan. That's very that's very exciting.
Yeah.
Ms.
It's,
Dawson, do you have any regrets?
do I have
Any
what?
regrets?
When it comes to that, it cost me a marriage, cost me a child that I no longer see, cost you friends, it cost you uh, a relative. There's more to the story, of course, that we're not discussing, and plus what I didn't write.
I
But
don't want to make you disturbed. Let's just keep it simple.
yeah,
Okay.
that's what I'm saying. But I'm just saying, when it cost you all that, uh, yeah, that was tough. That was the part that really hurts. Is that you couldn't do anything about it. It wasn't that you weren't trying. You were trying to do the best you can. But
Yeah.
it is an illness. It's real. It's not, oh, I want to be lazy. I don't have to do anything. No. You'd rather be
Right.
doing something.
Right. 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 What I've inferred from your story is that it's mainly about parenting because this is the place from it actually starts. If parents could actually manage all that stuff from the very first triggering point, from the very first moment of finding something which is very unnatural, they should manage it in the first place. So, what would be your advice to all the parents out there on this planet?
My advice, some children hide it better than others. Spend
Hmm.
time with your child. get to know your real child so that when they're different or you're getting a funny feeling this things something's different. Usually,
Mm,
like my father told me, usually if you have a feeling something's wrong, it's usually wrong.
mm,
If you get this strong enough, it's animal instinct that even though we evolved, we still have. People forget
mm,
that we have it.
mm.
My dad put it to me one way. He said, "You don't need to stick around to see if you were right or wrong." uh, no, he did, and but really, if I was to give advice, pay more attention to your children. Who are their friends? Where are they going? What are they doing? But it's not just that, but how are they acting? Are they suddenly being sweeter than normal all of a sudden? Sounds like, oh, yes, but what is going on that's making my child not my normal child? And that's the little clues. And when they're super sweet and super want to go along with everything, they normally don't, something's up, usually. So don't wait until it's serious. Just spend more time without saying what's wrong. Instead of that, spend the time with and observe. Really listen. Really observe. That's how we caught my grandson. That's really it.
That's
We loved him, and we could see something was not right. So now he's doing great because we caught it right when it started, and it can help. Then people say, "Well, oh, go out and exercise. Get up and go do something." No, it's not. Some people that's enough, but if it's
right,
really bad, no. So my
right.
advice: pay attention. Really pay attention, and talk to your child.
Right.
That's how you'll find it.
Let me tell you a little story. When
Okay.
I was a child, I had this one unpromising incident with my father, with my mother at my home, something, and that really left in my mind for so many years, and it made me scared from inside. Okay, that much scared that I could not ride a bike until I was
Hmm.
26, 28, I think. It took me
Yeah, something.
almost that much years to ride a bike. And the last year I've started um, driving car. I was so much scared of the roads because of that little incident. And I truly believe that all this reluctance to go on the roads to ride a bike, that was all because of that incident. I knew it from the very first day that that this incident, I have kept this with me all of my life. But I now feel that if I had discussed all that stuff with my parents at that moment, or with somebody, with my siblings, maybe they would have helped me to get out of all that stuff. So, what would you advise the children that what they are supposed to do? Because Miss Dawson, there are so many things that we are literally scared of discussing. You see, there are many children who get physically abused, if I could use that word. They're physically
Yes.
abused, and then there is something called good touch, then there is something called bad touch. These are the
Yep.
things which are normal, and in not only in your country, but in the third world countries like
It's
us as well,
worldwide. It's
where
worldwide.
it's for, and that's a really a serious problem. So what if somebody, if very young, is listening to me, what would you advise to that little kid, what they are ought to do in such situations if something bad happens to them? Over to you.
Find an adult that you trust, someone you trust, and tell them. Don't keep it a secret. And just be trusting who you tell because it's according where you live, what culture. It has a lot to do with it. Even in the United States, sometimes that can backfire. You got to be careful. But
Yeah.
there's always somebody that you're closer to, or maybe it might be a friend's mother that you trust or like. It could be someone else's brother or sister, or it could be an aunt. It could even be at your worship. If there's someone that's always mentored you or helped you, someone you trust, and then you tell them, and they can help you to get what you need because you need to get out of those situations because it's not going to get better. It's going to get worse.
Hmm.
the quicker you take care of damage control is really what it is. And like if I had
Right.
had something when I was young, if today I was living today and at 13, oh my goodness, there's just
Right.
all kinds of things that you can get help with.
Right.
And I'm like, wrong century or the wrong years, that happened. But I'm so glad it's here. The only thing that's still sad to me is the stigma still. Oh,
Still,
you just
still.
want sympathy. No, I don't. I want
Mm.
help. I've
Yeah.
actually told people that. No, I don't. I don't want you to feel sorry for me. Help me. What should I do? By the time I got to that stage, I already had so many years behind me. I already knew kind of what I could do.
Mm.
And I could go to the doctor, but I don't even know if they would do anything different because I had to find out
Right.
the real culprit. And it was so hidden. That was the problem. It was so hidden that made it hard to find the right medicine, to find that. But when you're really mentally ill and people say to you this, well, get up and go do something. You just made me feel worse. Why? Because I know I should be able to get up and go do something, anything. Okay. But I'm good to get out of bed. Thank you. Now you just made me feel
Right.
worse. And
Right.
then people
Right.
say, well, what should I do for people I love and care about? I said, you know
Mm.
what the most precious gift is for someone that's hurting? Any situation, any kind of illness, is your time
Time.
to sit and be there for them, even if they don't want to say two words. But just remember, don't talk about you. It's them that you're helping.
It's them.
Fif-
Yeah.
15,
You should
30
be just
minutes,
listening to them.
listen or just sit. And they don't even have to say a word. It's that you're there. The first time someone did that for me, I remember it was a bad day. I hadn't taken a shower in a week. I'm being honest. Okay. I was on vacation, didn't go anywhere. And I was really, really having a bad time. And one of my friends at that time stopped over, didn't call because if you're sick, what do you say? No, I don't feel like it. So you can't call them. They're going to tell you no. Just show up.
Yeah.
They're probably home. Okay. Uh, and she just showed up. And I said, hi. And she goes, I was just here in the area. So I just thought I'd stop by. What's up? It wasn't like, oh, are you doing better or anything? Just like every day, what's up? Same. You want to come in? Sure. Okay. She comes in. The couch has got stuff on it. The room is not cleaned up. Normally, I was pretty tidy, but when you're that bad, you're not. You're lucky, like I said, to get up and go eat or go to bed. And she sat there with me. And then she got up in a few minutes. She just went and got something she knew I liked, like a soda, popcorn. And then she didn't ask, do you want it? The answer would have been no. Okay. She just did it. Came back, set it down, didn't say a word. Here's yours. Here's mine. We're looking at TV. We're having popcorn and soda. And we're looking at the TV, watching a movie. We didn't talk much. She didn't talk. I didn't talk much. And I finally said a few words to her. And she looked at her watch. Oh, I got to get home, so and so, blah, blah, just a little something. I said, well, really, thanks for stopping. It was nice seeing you. I
Yeah.
hadn't seen you in a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah.
And she said, I will see you again soon when I'm over in this area. Okay. Then she left. All right. And when she left, I didn't think much about it at first. And I went back to bed watching TV, the same old. And then I got up to get something to eat, and I was in the kitchen. I remember this. I was in the kitchen. I was taking a drink, and I thought, oh my God, someone finally
Right.
gives up like,
Eureka moment. Right? This is it.
um,
This is what I need to do. Yeah. Right.
yeah, it was just like, wow, she stopped just for me. Her time. We didn't do anything but sit here, watch TV. She wasn't yakking, telling about all the good things in her life.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit, but not much. She was just there. It was her time. It
Yeah.
was the
Right.
time she gave me. Everybody's always saying, but I don't know what to say. What did she say when she opened the door? Hey, what's up?
What's it? That's it.
What's
This
up?
is it. That's enough. That's enough for one to get started. You would just
And
get
then you just
everything
say,
over. Yeah.
come on in, oh, and she didn't come in and say,
Yeah.
oh, was it such a mess or anything? She just moved a few things. She said, let's talk here. And she said, let's watch the show. A few minutes, she just got and got it, come back, put it down. We just kept watching. I said a few things that, I just wasn't feeling very good and don't want to be bad company. She says, you're not bad company. At least it's quiet. She made a joke out of it. you know,
Right.
uh, at least it's quiet here. And I said, yeah, but sometimes too quiet type thing. And we chuckled, and then we just watched TV and she just looked because you don't want to stay too long. Okay. Don't stay too long. Never more than an hour. Never.
Yeah.
30 minutes,
Never.
40 minutes,
But
20
that's
minutes.
but that's the real dilemma of these times right now. You see, there is something which I recently coined this term called TikTokifications. We do not have that much time. We spend too much time in watching 30-second shorts. It takes too long. We spend literally hours doing all that stuff. We literally do not have time to discuss with each other. Everybody's on his own or him or herself. If there is a person, you see two siblings living in the same house, they will kill their time living within their living room and scrolling on the smartphone, but they would not never ever come to each other, sit along with each other and discuss problems. This is something which is missing. I think technology is the biggest, one of the biggest culprit. It has got so many advantages, but there are cons, there are setbacks of this as well. So how do you feel one can manage this? How we can get the time for each other in this very fast-paced time that we are going through?
You have to care. You just have to care about someone more than yourself. That's
Yeah.
really what it is. You have to make the time. And if it's a good friend or family, what is,
Hmm.
seriously, what is 30, 20, 30 minutes that you don't have to do anything. You're just there for them. And people don't understand when you do that for someone, it actually does something for you.
Yeah.
It's called being human. It's called being caring, compassion. It's the times that I walked up to women that are crying, sitting in a real quiet spot, and just said, "Are you okay? Do you need help?" That's it. And they either, if they wouldn't really talk, I said, "Do you want me just to sit with you?" Sometimes that's all they wanted. It is being alone. When some moments it's worse. But when it's someone it shouldn't be as hard that you can't give them a few minutes every once in a while. You're over near them anyway. Why can't you just stop by for 15, 20 minutes and you just say, I really was just in the area and I hadn't seen you in a while. So I come by to see if you were still here, like that. A joke, just a light joke. Don't say, how are you feeling? Are you doing better? What can I do for you? You know, that's not what we want. We just want
Yeah.
normal interaction,
Normal
but
discussion. Yeah.
not really talk all the time.
Uh,
Sometimes we don't
it
talk.
it should not be like a doctor-patient discussion.
Right.
That would make one feel like as if I'm going through something different. Yeah. And let's just make the other person very normal. Okay. So, Ms. Dawson, what are your expectations from your book? How you feel this is going to change lives of the readers? What are your expectations? Have you got any feedbacks on this so far?
Yes, I have. And it's been positive and it's been that I felt myself in some parts of your book. That was the goal. That's why it's called
Yeah.
glimpses. And you
Right.
can't relate to this, but you relate over to here. Or something else, or maybe two things, or maybe you don't relate, but someone is hurting, they need to read this. It would help them to know
Right.
the main thing. It'll help them to know they are not alone and they have not been forgotten. And that
Right.
sounds like old. Everybody says it, but it's really the truth. And my message is don't get up, don't give up, go and get help. Don't stop. Don't let anyone or any toxic thing against you get out of that because it's your life.
Right.
And
Right.
only way you can get help, you got to start. Then you can get it starts, going along. But you got to take the first steps to call or go in and ask for help. And don't be embarrassed about it because it can happen to anyone. There are no boundaries. That's what I learned.
Right. Right.
It's sad.
Right, that's great. And I'm personally feeling so much release, and I feel that must be a good counselor. You must be very good at your craft. I could feel that. I could feel. I don't know how
I've
this
helped a lot of
time
people.
is. It's been almost an hour that we are discussing, and I really want this discussion to go on and on. But I would need some final nugget of awesomeness from your side. What would be your final advice to all those parents, all those kids, everybody who's listening you, whatever that the mic is yours. The final advice to everybody out there. What would be your advice?
When someone comes to you and says they're hurting, listen, believe
Listen.
them, believe them. Don't just shrug them off. Yes, go outside and play. Don't do that. Ask, well, what is it? Tell mommy. Tell, I'm your friend. Tell me. Um,
Yeah.
and then listen and then try to encourage them to talk to someone else to get help or take your child to the doctor, the right kind of doctor.
Right.
Um, doesn't have to be the psychiatrist and all of that first, like a group therapy or a group. There's places to start according to how the situation is. But
Hmm.
if you have children, especially teenagers, okay, because their life is, they're blossoming into people. They're not there yet. So you're going to have to watch that and make sure they stay with the right people, make sure that they're learning the right things, but they also have to have a little bit of freedom. You can't put a, a what you call a rope around their neck and expect them to just stay home and stay out of everything and you will be okay. You don't even have to do that. Your home, you can happen. It doesn't matter where you live. But if you give a little bit for your child to have open expression, that you don't get all upset because they're saying something you don't like, but they opened up to you. Don't cut them off. If they open up to you, you got a chance to really, it might be you're saving your own child and don't know it, or you're saving a friend and don't know it because of your true, sincere caring, compassion. It's just listen. We don't talk to people anymore. It's all communication. It's all internet, and we don't even write letters anymore. We used to when I was
Yeah.
a parent. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have
Once again,
uh,
technology is the culprit. Huh? That we have
not
lost
always.
all
It's
that
good
charm of
and it's
writing.
bad.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
good things about it, but if you get it way out of control, then it becomes negative. If that's the only thing you
Hmm.
do is living on your app or something like that all the time, that's not good for children. They actually
Right.
need to think and be creative, go outside, play,
Right.
if
Right.
basketball, whatever, something, and leave the phone at home. Go on vacation, they spend their time what, on the phone? Or are they doing stuff with the family? See, when I was raising my children, we used to have these weekends. This is something to think about. We would have a weekend about every 2 or 3 months. And on
Hmm.
Friday night, we would go out and we would get popcorn and drinks and all that, come home, get everything we're going to need for the weekend. And everybody home, the door's locked. No one comes in, no company,
No
no
one
one goes
comes.
out.
No one goes
Nope.
out.
And
That's the
everybody says,
me time
that's
of
not
family. Yeah. Our time.
family.
That's our time.
Games, watching shows together, talking, cooking
Great.
together, uh,
Wow.
and phones. On someone call, you could be on the phone for 1 or 2 minutes tops. You just get
Next.
to the point, blah blah blah, and you're off the phone. We're having our weekend. Bye. What's wrong? Really, we're having our weekend. Mom's gonna be in here, clicking it. So what do you need, real quick? and and the thing of it was, at first, it wasn't so, but actually, we got looking forward to it because it was just us. It was games. It was dad, and mom, and kids, and they were at that age. They're too old. They're too young. What am I going to do? I can't do that. I'm too old or too young. So we gave them the family time where you cut everything else out.
Right.
And we didn't have cell phones yet, but we had a phone, and even that was cut out for 1 minute. I'll tell
Right.
you what, the only rule
Yeah.
in the house on the weekend for the children, don't care when you do it, but your homework has to be done Sunday night. You do it whatever, but it has to be done before you go to bed on Sunday night. And you didn't have to take baths, you didn't have to clean, you didn't do it, but you had to Sunday night. Everybody did. Okay. For 2 days, you could be a slob if you wanted to be. You could be really like reading, or you could be playing games or watching shows or just talking. Sometimes we'd watch shows together and we all would catch these little blur, like mistakes. Uh, what family does that nowadays? No one. You can't even keep a family together for probably even one evening, just an evening, like
Hmm.
from say at six
True that.
o'clock, be
True
home.
that.
This is our night.
True that. True that.
That's the
Great.
family time. That what happens? You know your child. You get to know your child.
Get to know your child. That's great.
Hmm.
Ms. Kalleen, that was really one of the productive discussions that I've ever had, one of the best interviews that I've ever had. And I'm pretty sure that I'm going to have a very good day today because of this discussion. Thank you so much for your time. You're really sweet. You are 70 years old, and I would like you to live for 70 more years on this planet and keep on spreading this positivity with that brightening smile. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.